The background. Where is the invite button?
The questions. Let me click on that. Okay. So everyone, thank you for joining tonight. Tonight with Ugon Sherwin, we have Hoodoo Sen Moise. Now, Hoodoo Sen Moise is known to a lot of people in the community. He's a hoodoo man, he's a conjure man, he's a tata, he's a Nugon, he's a little bit of everything. But to us, he is our papa. We are his god kids. Now, before we start with anything else, I just need you to say who's your favorite godchild right now.
You can't be putting me on the spot like that. No, indeed,
I know.
because then this gets recorded and then somebody gonna use it against me later. So,
I know, that's why I had to mess with you. But to be honest, you guys, Sherwin has been with Papa for a long time. Look at him. Sherwin's been with Papa for a long time. I'm kind of still the baby in the bunch. I'm the one pulling up the rear. I think I'm the one pulling up the rear for right now. For right now. Papa, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. I know, you're a busy man and you taking the time to do this. Papa, before we start, you guys, if you want to connect with him, he has a website, hoodoosenmoise.com, conjureneworleans.com. His cash app is it's Sen Moise.
Sen
Dollar
Moise.
sign Sen Moise. So if you want to make a love donation to him, definitely those are his contacts. If you want to get a reading, the links and everything are going to be at the top. So if you want to connect with him, please reach out. He's a phenomenal reader. A lot of you already know this. So Papa, tell us a little bit about who you are. Tell us about how you would explain who you are.
The way that I explain uh, who I am is I'm basically one of those people who um, I don't have time for foolishness. I never have. Patience is not a virtue that I possess much of. And one of the things for me that I love doing is empowering people because I think that everybody has within them the potential to be very, very strong, even when they can't see it. Um, One of the things that I do a lot of, which most everybody knows, is I travel all over the place, teaching and such, and giving this work that I've been in for 38 years. And when it comes down to that, it's not just about like interacting with people, but it's about giving something to someone that they can use to make themselves stronger, make themselves better, and to facilitate some sort of a magical change in their own life. Um, I operate very, very old school. I will tell you that right now. I'm not one of those people that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to chase this and chase this person, and I'm not going to do all that. But what I am going to do is I will give you the tools that is needed to make the changes that are needed in your own life to better it, to protect it, to open up the roads for it, whatever it may be. Um, so what am I? I'm a teacher. I'm an author. I'm a priest. I'm a spiritual father, and I'm how you say a no bullshitter. That's what I am.
You really are. You do a lot of things for the community that a lot of people probably don't know about. I know you're all over the place. I've been fortunate enough to kind of catch classes with you on the road, and I mean, phenomenal teacher. especially when it comes to talking about the ancestors and ancestral work. Even touching in on the voodoo, I tell people the whole time, and I know they heard the story over and over again because they're always like, how did you end up becoming one of his god kids? And it was like, I literally stalked him. I saw him on somebody's page, and I had been looking for a new gon or a mambo. And I remember seeing you on Tata Candelo's page and just immediately feeling like there was a connection. And so it was like, okay, now I got to get to know this person. And I do agree with you when you say you're not about the bullshit. You're really straightforward. Anybody who's ever come in contact with you knows that you're straightforward. But I will always say that I admire how you handle your spirits and how you handle teaching and how you handle the connection, especially when you deal with people. What you see is what you get with you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of it. There's a lot of tatas and nugans and babalaos and things out there that, there's the bait and switch where you're looking at this person and you think that they're about this, and then you connect with them and they're not
Right.
about that. You,
Right.
I will say, 100% are exactly what you present to people. And I think that's a really good thing, especially in this day and age.
Well, the thing is with that is that like me personally, like I don't like wasting time, and I think you know becomes a waste of time. Not only that, but at the same point in time, when it comes to these traditions, as you all know, they ain't cheap. And so the whole bait and switch thing, which is extremely common, is one of those things to where, like, in my opinion, is a disgrace. The traditions that I'm involved in and what I was raised in are things that I would literally die for. So why would I, do what you had described, to someone else? If I truly believe the things that I teach, then why would I uh, 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 act or you practice the opposite, so to speak? And
True.
one of the things that people have to understand when it comes to your spirits and when it comes to magic work, the things that you do, and I'm not talking about what you do in public. I'm talking about what you do when ain't nobody watching. Those are the things that end up carving whatever path it is that you're about to go down. That could be good, bad, indifferent, whatever. But you have to, when it comes to this, not only is there a need for education, because as we all know, there's so much bullshit that's out there. It's not even funny. I mean, even from what you just said, like, just off the top of my head, I could probably name off like 100 things and or people that are full of shit. um but for me, when it comes down to it, what I do is, my goal is to give someone the strength so that they can facilitate magical changes in their own life to make it what it needs to be. Everybody has a call. Not everybody has a call to be a priest, but everybody does have a call to the spirit. Because why? We come from spirit. We go back to spirit. That's why. And so, in that, the important thing, for that is that we work in the mundane world and we work in the spiritual world, because both of them are equal. And what happens in one must happen in the other, and vice versa. And so, if you know all about the one but nothing about the other, there's an imbalance there. So one of my goals is to bring balance to people when it comes to, working in the spirit, and, when it comes to working in the mundane as well.
Absolutely. It's important. Bro, you're quiet. What's going on?
Mhm.
You got some questions for Papa?
Oh,
Don't act like the cat got your tongue now. Come on now.
I'm looking. Look. This man here on here, I've been asking him questions for over 6 years. So if I'm quiet, this is a once in a lifetime thing. But I'm just looking at the comments. Everyone's speaking, and we got Candelo, we got Yvette, Corey, um, we
We
got
got a full house. Thank you everybody for showing up. And if you have questions for Hoodoo Sen Moise, please post them while we got them. While we got them, you guys. I mean, he all over the place. Papa, you got a lot of because you've been on a lot of podcasts and talk shows recently. What all you have coming up? What's going on? Because I know I've been seeing like little interviews where you got things coming in.
I think he's gonna be on Coast to Coast.
Yeah, there's several radio shows um, I've that I'm going to be on. That's coming up. I think in I don't even know what day it is. About a week or so from now, like on the 18th, I'll be on a show with a lovely lady by the name of Heather Wade, who was Art Bell, who is the Coast to Coast guy. It was his prodigy before he passed away, and I'll be on that show on the 18th. I don't have the link or anything at the moment. They haven't given it to me yet, but that's coming up, and then depending on what happens with all this coronavirus stuff. Um, there is still some travel that's coming up that has not been canceled, so that's a good thing. And then I don't know exactly what's going on yet, but hopefully July will be hopefully July, if but it's still up in the air, but hopefully July will be sometime in Haiti.
Oh, wait, Papa. Wait. Don't
I
get
done
me
told you
excited.
about that.
You did, but I'm excited. Are you saying we might still go?
There is a possibility, yes. But it depend. But it's depending. I'm trying to get stuff worked out now to where um, it can happen. But there's still a couple of things that I have to look at.
Woo,
With
Papa,
regard
you
to-
just made an old woman happy. Oh my God, you just made. I'm gonna have to go to my altars and talk to my spirits because I was hoping. So we're just gonna leave it there. Papa, somebody's talking about. I think it's Joy says she enjoys your book. Let's talk about your book because now I know because I've talked to people and they're like, okay, when is he coming out with the next book? And I'm like, it's a lot going on right now.
Maybe sooner than they think. I'll just tell you that. I'm not going to say anything else, but I'll just tell you that.
Oh, that's good. Then we might have part two. A lot of people were really, really into the book. They were impressed with it. I was even impressed, like with the graveyard work section and all that. It was a really, really good book. What made you, at that particular point, decide that you wanted to put something
Well, that's a story in and of itself. Because, first of all, I hate writing. I hate it. I'm good at it. I can do it. I just don't like to. And and the publisher had been asking me, Weiser had been asking me for several years to write a book, and I was always like, nope, 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 nope. But then, you know, I started looking around and I started seeing some of the other things, that was, out there in internet land, and uh, some of the other, like, how you say, the books and uh published stuff, from other people, and I would read some of them, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, this has
out.
absolutely nothing to do with this work, where it comes from, why it's here, the need for it. And and then that was really what made me decide that it was time to step up. Because here's the thing, I can complain about this or that, or like how that is bullshit and that's not true, but if I don't do anything about it, my
Right.
complaints are going to serve absolutely no purpose. So as as I was told one time, which is one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten. And that is that you can either complain about the narrative or you can begin to write the narrative. And so
Absolutely.
that was really what made me finally say yes, I'll do it. And then uh I just did it. So
I, you got a really good response. You see the book everywhere. I've seen it in Barnes and Noble. I've seen it in little shops around town. I mean, I know you
well,
can order it off of Amazon.
it's been a bestseller one, two, three, four times, four
Yeah,
different times. So I mean, so that's really good. And I'm very blessed and thankful and happy for that. Um, so that's a really good thing. Um,
Mhm.
and like my thing is that like I want people to, more than anything else, like yes, it's full of like work and there's a lot of explanation and stuff like that, but more than anything else, what I wanted people to understand was why there was a need and where this work was birthed from in this country, why it was there.
hmm,
Because at the end of the day, conjure work or hoodoo, like that was born out of a necessity, not only a necessity to survive, but a necessity to create a magical change that was needed so that people didn't continue to die. As we know during the slave trades, all the things that happened whenever they were brought over here, that that blood that was shed was the birthing of where this work comes from. And that is
absolutely.
why those ancestors must always be honored no matter what. Because if you don't honor those ancestors, all you're doing is tainting and stomping on the work that is produced from it, you see.
Exactly. I think that's why people don't realize how important it is to learn and learn properly and understand why you do the work. You get a lot of people in these groups, and everybody wants the binding spells or the hexing spells or this
Or to
whatever.
bring my man back spells.
Yeah, bring my man back, my woman back. But I think sometimes people, like you say, they miss the foundation of why this was even brought about in the first place. And I think
Exactly.
you have to kind of go back to the foundation because you have to understand the pain and the struggle of the work. You
E-
have to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This work was a magical answer to an oppression that was being placed upon the people, and it was a magical answer to a rebellion that was needed to move away from that. The same could be said about the voodoo as well.
I was going to go right into that because I was going to say voodoo is the same way. It's the
Absolutely.
same way. A lot of people
Absolutely.
don't want to deal with the foundation of, they want to learn the fluff of it, but they don't want to go back and deal with the foundation because a lot of people go, well, that's painful, but it's there for a reason.
It's there for, it is necessary. Those sacrifices that were made, again, are the foundation stone of what this work stands on. That is absolutely 1000% accurate for the hoodoo and conjure work as well as the voodoo. It's the same thing. They
I
were
remember,
both an answer for an oppression that needed to happen so that a magical change could take place.
what we're dealing with, really some of these same issues, not to the, of course, not into the magnitude that it was 200 years ago. But right now, even within our communities, we're still dealing with oppression. We're still dealing with situations where, as a grand scheme, we could come together and really do big things magically for communities instead of just like you say, bring my man back or, this and that. I don't think people realize that, there's so much more that we can do with this work that we aren't really doing.
Absolutely, of course. But you have to go back to the basics and the beginnings of that. Like for example. For example, you have to go back to, okay, you want to do all this, grandiose work and this and that, for whatever reason. But tell me, do you know how to pray?
Mm.
That's the first question I'll say. I'm like, do you know how to pray? Huh? Like, and that's the thing is that, people want, they want to have, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people, what they want to have is they want to have all these gigantic results when they have no foundation that's going to even carry them to be able to achieve that. So how's that work? I mean, like, how that
That's
working out for you, baby?
true.
No.
That's true. Hold up, Papa, you got a question. Somebody wants to know, do you feel it's important to wait a certain length of time after someone dies before you add them to the ancestor altar?
I do, actually. Um, Reason being is because, okay, first of all, let's just, like, nobody knows, like, the whole processes, or what happens, whenever we, don't have a body anymore.
Mhm.
Um, there are some folks that will say that, that you wait 6 months to a year for that. Some folks will say 7 days. But the thing is that there needs to be there needs to be a process of healing for you, the individual who's going to be elevating that person, number one. But number two, at the same point in time, they're also, like, they're going to have stuff that they got to do over there first. So, people are, if they're trying to find, a manifestation of that particular now ancestor, they're probably going to have to wait for it. But the thing is that, remember, like I said before, what happens in the spirit will manifest in the physical. What happens in the physical will manifest in the spirit. So that spirit side is there, but the mundane side, or the healing side, needs to take place for the individual before, that happens, so they can not only more effectively elevate that ancestor now, but they
Mhm.
can effectively work with that ancestor now, provided that, they've done whatever they need to do with wherever they be going.
You know what? I 100% agree, because I had a lady, I think the other day, and she was saying that her mother passed away and her mother didn't care for her in life, but she wanted to make an ancestor altar for her mom. And I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, okay, we got an issue where we need to heal something first before you go ahead and do this. You're still hurting behind the emotion is still, you're grieving and you're hurting behind this relationship with your mother, and you're trying to elevate when you're not really, like you said, you're not feeling strong enough, or you're not mentally prepared or emotionally prepared. So
Right.
I do agree with you on that. Let me get another question. You got your other God kids on here. You got Renee. Let's see. I'm trying to see who else. Amanda, TJ, you better say something to them, Papa. Say something to your God kids, because they're going to be some kind of way.
I love all of you. Oh, Corey's on there too, I think. I
Uh-huh.
love
Yeah.
all
Oh,
of
he
you.
there.
And Corey, you better call me. I've been trying to get a hold of your ass.
Ooh, called out on the live. Called out on the live. Okay, now somebody wants to know, Papa, if you are going to be doing some online classes soon.
um, yeah, I'll be doing some soon. There's the next 2 weeks, um, week and a half to 2 weeks are going to be a little tight for me, because I have something else going on in the works, which I'm not going to mention at the moment. But there's something going on that has to be taken care of. Um, but then, yes, I will be doing some online classes for folks, probably through, like, Zoom or Crowdcast, or I don't know, one of those things, whenever I learn how to use it. Because, I'm not the most technologically advanced individual on the planet. Like, I can work a spirit, but a computer is another ball game.
Papa, if Mama Star can figure out Zoom, I know you can figure out Zoom.
I'll be looking. I'll look and I'll see, because I'm like, some of that
We're
stuff
gonna
can
help
be.
you out. We're gonna help you out. Just if you need it, we're gonna reach out. Definitely. Let me see. What Corey say, don't say nothing to him because he called you. So he putting
Oh
it back on
God.
you. No, and then Tartel Candelo said we going to Haiti. So let me see. Let me pull a question in. Let me
Tell
see.
Corey I said to check his phone
Why we on
and his
books?
Facebook messages.
While we talking about writing books, go back to that subject. I'm trying to get me and Papa to write a book on graveyard work. Gonna put that out there.
Are you gonna put that out there again?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh,
I would
Gonna
buy it.
manifest it.
I'm gonna put it out there that I will buy if you do it.
Manifest it. Me and him gonna co-write a book on graveyard work.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm like, put the knowledge out there. Let's see who we got. We got Nikki from Omaha. She's in the house.
oh, good.
Let me see. Sharonda wants to know, how do you properly heal? I'm guessing that it's probably connected to the ancestor altar.
Healing is something that number one, there's no set time when it comes to that. But one of the things that can be done, what I would suggest in that, is that I would get either some you could get either blue, you could use green too, I guess, candles. And then what you're going to do with those is you're going to, when it comes to like whoever the individual is, you're going to write them a letter. And that letter is going to explain whatever those hurts are that are there, or those things that need to be addressed that's there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fix that candle just with plain olive oil. That's all you need. It's some, you don't need very much, but just some plain olive oil. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the letter that you wrote and you're going to burn it into ash. And then you're going to take the ash of that and you're going to put it on the candle. And then each day you're going to burn that candle for 1 hour a day. And every single time that you light that candle, what you're going to do is make those declarations and those confessions of those things that need to be healed from the heart. And depending on how long the hurt or whatever has been there, typically will determine like about how long, it's going to take, because when something takes root, it's got to be uprooted. And sometimes that doesn't take 5 minutes. Everybody wants an instant fix, but they call this spiritual work for a reason. It is not spiritual easy.
It's true. It's true. Let's see. Sharon Cox, my husband has passed and sometimes I smell his pipe smoke. I'm assuming that she's just trying to show that there's a connection, that she still has.
There is. Of course there is. And ancestors will manifest in that way. You will, like if they, smoked a pipe, if they wore a certain perfume and such, you'll find that you'll begin to smell it when they're around. And so, and that's you know what that is? That's a perfect time to have a conversation of whatever may be going on at the time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Corey is saying that he has moved on to doing more Gede work, because I know every time I say Gede, you ain't saying it right. So Corey's saying he's dealing more with the Gedes and he's working more with demon stuff right now.
And I'm gonna tell Corey he need to reply to his text messages. That's
Corey, Papa just gonna be on you until y'all connect.
Hold on one second.
No, sweets, we're not reading today.
Laverne asks, how do you...
Hold on. Joshua, s'il vous plaît, mon chéri. Merci un peu. Go ahead.
Laverne was asking, how do you choose the correct mentor? You don't. It happens. If it happened, it happens. It's like one of those things. Like you have to get the. Let me see. It's not choose the correct person. It's just being discerning with who you choose. Because you really just pay attention to people. If you see someone that you're drawn to, get to know them. I tell people all the time, get to know the person, get to know the house, get to know their godparents, if their godparents are still living, and do that for at least at least a year. You don't get to know a person within a matter of months. Like it, Papa, me, I know you 6 years, going on 7.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's very true. The thing is that like one of the things that a lot of people um, that they may not think about or realize is that, like for me, for example, I am not for everybody, and everybody is not for me. Now, all that means is that you have to find where there is a good fit for you. Merci, Monsieur Monche. Uh, you have to find where there is a good fit. And at the beginning of that is when, when you begin to build a relationship and you begin to, that opens the eyes of, what you're going to be able to grow into. And that's where discernment is absolutely needed, because uh, as Mambo Tanya said earlier, you got a lot of bait and switch, and you got a lot of people that they'll be like, oh, they're going to tell you everything that you want to hear, just so they can get your money out of you. And as we all know, this is a whole lot deeper than all that. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's rough in the spiritual streets, Papa. It's rough. I know you know it because you've been at this a lot longer, but it really is. I mean, I went through vegan mambos. I went through babalaos that wanted to send dick pics. I mean, it really, you go through a lot of people. Like Papa said, there's the issue with discernment. A lot of people that message me and they're like, you know what? I found a godparent and we're going out on a date and it's a sexual relationship. And I'm like, what? What just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to wonder if this person is a godparent and they're crossing that line, they have to know that that's not right.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you right now, and you can take this to the bank. If any person who is a godparent to you tries that whole sex shit, get away and run. Because first of all, that is absolutely taboo in these traditions. It is against the rules 1000%.
Mm-hmm.
And that in that what essentially what you've got going on is you have somebody that's just wanting to simply exercise control over you and use you for their own whatever pleasure that they want. It has nothing to do with the growth that you're looking for. So run away, because that's a crock of shit.
Y'all heard it. Y'all know I talk about it all the time, but y'all heard it. You got to be very, very careful. I think what Hugon Sherwin was saying too, sometimes you have to let spirit really lead you to the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And be prepared, because it's a test. There's a lot of lessons that are going to come with it that you have to really be prepared for. I think people get really excited about, oh, I'm going to join a house, or I'm going to join this community, or I'm going to do this and that. But they don't realize that there's a lot of responsibility and obligations that come with this. It really is. In a house, we don't just represent ourselves, we represent him. Things that we do, sometimes I'm like, you know what, I probably shouldn't have posted that because, Papa might not like that. Sometimes you have to realize that it's like he said, it's bigger. There's human family, there's spiritual family, and then there's connections with spirit that really kind of anchor us together. But you should have a group of people that are trying to grow spiritually together. So y'all be careful. Let me try to find another question. Joy was asking Papa, the spirit leave hair behind? I'm not sure. I think that's hair. I got my glasses on. Sherwin, are you seeing it too?
Yeah,
The
I seen
spirit
it. She
leave
had said
hair.
the spirit leave hair. I've
Does the
never.
spirit leave hair? Spirits can do like basically whatever they want to do. Like, I mean, they just as we may have had like experiences where like you wake up and there's like a candle sitting, on the table that wasn't there before, or something got moved or whatever. A spirit, typically, whenever an item is left, there's probably a reason for it. And a lot of times that reason that's there has to do with some sort of work that may need to be done or be started.
Okay. Frida P wants to know, do we all have a deity? How can we find out who it is? Do we pick them or do they pick us?
They pick us.
I love this question. Okay, so first of all, I will say that the question in general is a very broad question. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because in these traditions, in the ATR traditions, the spirits pick you. You don't pick them. However, if you go into other witchcraft traditions and such, the opposite is oftentimes how you say used when it comes down to it. Now, I can't speak for that fully because I'm not involved in any of that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that's not me. But in the ATR traditions, the spirits, whether that be Lawa, Orishas, Impungos, what have you, they choose you. And so when the call is given to you, that's when your responsibility to answer that call comes out. And you say, how do I know that the call has been given to me? And the only answer that I have for that is that you'll know. Because they'll come and they'll visit you, and they'll pull you to someone that can essentially point the path out for you. But
Absolutely.
to simply answer the question, the spirits choose you. It's not the other way around.
You guys, and it's so funny Papa saying this, because before I even sought him out, Oya came to me in dreams several times. Now, Oya is an Orisha, not a Lawa. So I was so confused because I was like, what does this mean? Am I going the wrong way? Is this not the right path? And she goes, no, the voodoo is your path, but I'm walking with you up until this point, and then I'm sending you on. So this spirit particularly came in to maybe open something up, enlighten me, and she introduced me to the Lawa. And then that's where the journey took a whole different turn. So it wasn't me seeking out, because I knew nothing about Oya, I knew nothing about Orishas. It wasn't me seeking that out. They literally came to me first and said, this is what you're going to do, and we're going to move you this way. So be open to the communication and messages that come in. Now, Papa TJ wants to know, how do you feel about the... Can I tell the story? Remember that day we were in New Orleans, we were in the restaurant, and I asked you about Kuban, was it Kubanda?
Kimbanda.
Oh my God, you guys, his face turned red. He was like, what? What do you want to do? Why are you trying to work with that? And I was way out of my league. I was way over my head. And thank God that his reaction kind of scared the shit out of me to make me not even want to research it anymore. But how do you feel about demonic work, Papa? Because I'm not saying that that's demonic, but I just remember your reaction when I even brought that up.
Here's the thing with that. Depending on the kind of spirits that you work with will determine the price that has to be paid in that. Now, am I saying that Kimbanda is bad? Not necessarily. Is it my cup of tea? Hell no, it is not. But when it comes to like, okay, so basically, like, when people think of demons or demonic work, what they're thinking about is malevolent spirits. Okay, that's what they're thinking about. Like, that's like kind of like the go-to definition is a malevolent spirit. So my thing is that for any work that you need to do, And again, I'm not like, talking down to about anybody or any tradition. I'm not doing any of that. But for any work that you need to do, your spirits can do it. Like whether it is, considered like, on the left hand side or the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, in the voodoo, there are loa, that I'm not necessarily going to name, but there are loa that, that just by description would be considered uh, demonic, but
Right.
they're not. But you also know that, like a loa, like Ezulifreda, for example, she can go stab you in the face 17 times and and accomplish the same thing that you like a demon from the Goetia could do. But then again, I go back
Absolutely.
to what is the price of that going to be whenever you go to that goetic demon? What's the price going to be? um and I'll tell you a story. I know a person. Who uh and this is one case. I'm not saying that this is applicable for everyone, but it is one case that I know of personally. There's a man that I know who, um, one of the things that he would do is that he would always do contract work with what people would consider demons. And again, I believe that the word demon is a relative term. I don't think that, I think what one person considers to be a demon, another person considers to be an angel, and blah, 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 whatever.
Sure.
But anyway, he did all of his work with, it was all contract work with malevolent spirits. And several years, because I've known him for, God, I don't know, 12, 15 years, something like that, long time. Um, would go by, and over that time, he began to deteriorate because all he did was contract work. And basically, what ended up going on is that those spirits began to eat him from the inside out.
Right.
So you have to be very careful and understand that there is always, always, always a price for everything, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. I don't know if you saw the post about the young lady where they said Papa Legba, she summoned Papa Legba, and Legba killed her.
Yes, that my
Uh,
eyes are still rolling in the back of my head.
Oh
I know
God.
mine were rolling too. I had to even make a post about it because it was just crazy to me. But I do agree with you. I think people, when you start getting into summoning, period, or you don't know, you're opening portals with this and that. If you don't know what you're doing, and like you said, sometimes even if you do know what you're doing and you're making pacts and blood pacts with spirit, there are prices to be paid. Like you say, it's a contract. You're not walking away free and clear. You're giving something to get something.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of people are learning that. I think what they're doing is they're mixing spirits. That's why I tell people all the time, research, go to mentors if you're going to open that door up. Papa, let me see.
Alyssa
Tiffany
has a
wants to
question.
know, I know it takes time, but when do you make the time for spirit work? Or when do you find the time for spirit work?
One thing I can tell you is that in my life, that's an every single day, all day thing. It happens all the time. Here's the thing. When it comes to, work in the spirit and communion with your spirits and such, we tend to overcomplicate things a lot. Walking down the street, and having a conversation with your spirits while you're walking is spirit work.
Mm-hmm.
Putting a cup of coffee, on an altar or, at the palm tree is spirit work. So it's not about like finding the time or making the time. Remember this, that you are a spirit that inhabits a body. So that must be fed as well as your body.
Right.
And working and communing with your spirits feeds your own. So when you get right down to it, what you've got there, it's a matter of balance. And I can't tell anybody how to balance their own life. I can say, yeah, well, you should probably make time for this or that. Does it mean that you have to go sit in front of an altar and meditate or whatever? No.
Mhm.
The thing is that like in these traditions, and I'm going to tell you now, like am not now, nor have I ever been one of those people who is about like having like this big fancy altar and blah 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 blah. I'm not. Do you know why? Because if I want to go talk to a spirit, I'm going to go where they live. I'm going to go to their kingdom. If I want to go to talk to Ogu, I'm going to go to the railroad tracks. If I want to go talk to Maitre Freda, I'm going to go to the river. If I want to go and talk to Mambo Cuisine, I'm going to go to the marketplace, etc., etc. I have an altar which is very simple. It doesn't, because the thing is that realistically for an altar, all you need is a candle and a glass of water. That's it.
True.
And
True.
so sometimes we get caught up. We get caught up in, all of these pomp and circumstances that we forget that, you know what, realistically, and oh Lord, I'm gonna piss some people off when I say this.
Say it.
The altar, those altars are more for you than they are your spirits. They are there's a working place or a condo, so to speak, for your spirits. But here's the thing, those are more for you.
Mhm.
All of these spirits, they have their own kingdoms where they reside. So guess what? If I need to go talk to them, I'm going to go to where they live. Can I sit in front of my altar and talk to it? Absolutely, I can. But at the same point in time, and both of y'all have been to Haiti before, and so you know how it works. What's the altar? The altar is the palm tree that's outside where the coffee is. The altar is the crossroads where you go and you leave the offerings there. Like those are, that's what the altar is. It's not necessarily the pomp and circumstance of having some big elaborate thing that's there.
That's
Those
true. I
spirits
think a
can
lot of
come
people
there.
get. Go ahead, Papa. I'm sorry.
Those spirits can come there. Absolutely, they can. But my whole point of that is that, like, don't be too caught up in that one thing, because I can tell you, if you really want to have that connection and you really want to feel those spirits, go to their house, go where they live, and then you'll have it.
Thank you, Papa. I needed that. I needed that word today.
I know, because I'm looking behind you.
What you see behind me? What you see? Now look. My people, in fact, I'm doing service tonight. We had a conversation last night. I was like, y'all good? They say we good. So, Papa, why are you doing that laugh now? Come on now.
I don't know what you mean.
All right, so let's see. Let me get into a question before I sit around here, turn this chair around me looking at the wall.
Alyssa had a question.
Corey had one too. Corey said something about having dreams of ancestors that were contacting him, or they were visiting him in his dream before he was even alive. Or maybe these are going back to past lives. Do you see that question on your side, Sharon? This moved up, I can't grab it.
Oh, let me see. I can catch it. Because I think
We're gonna have to wait for it to come back, because I think I completely lost it. Okay,
Mhm.
Elisa wants to know what's the time frame for a mentorship connection to your path,
She said,
because
asking.
she's saying some people try to speed up that connection with the mentor, um, which I get, because I think a lot of people are like, okay, I picked you, now we're supposed to be best buddies. I know with me and you, we're still kind of finding our way. I love you to death, and I know I have my ways, you have your ways, but I think too, when you're in a different state and you're not with somebody, where you're not going out and having lunch with them or spending time with them all the time, that
Mhm.
connection sometimes takes a little bit more time to get. I mean, because we're both busy, we can't be on the phone 24/7. But I
Right.
definitely, I get where she's saying, where
But
some people try to force a connection.
right. And the thing is that like a connection can't be forced, and there's like again like there's no like set time when it comes to when it comes to like how that all plays out. There's not a set time there, but also at the same point, and on the same note, um you also have to look at this. Like, I can't speak for everybody else, but what I do, like all this lasts for a lifetime. It's your entire life. So baby, there's time there, for whatever it is. Now, what happens is that like, you know, okay, so if you let's say that you have a mentor. So then okay, so you call, or text or whatever your mentor and say, okay, so I want to, discuss such and such, and then set a time, set an appointment for if they're not like in the same area that you are, or even if they are, because you still want to make sure that that you're being respectful in that, and then you and your mentor will establish that time together, so you can learn whatever it is that is coming up at that particular juncture. But at the end of the day, like these traditions, like they transcend our lives. Like our lives are here, and these traditions have been going on and will continue to do so. But just remember that you have time, but also it's about making sure that due diligence is exercised as well. And so when you have a mentor, um, remember this: when you have a mentor, you seek them out. They do not seek you out. And if there's things that you want to know, then all you do, like for example, if any of my god kids want to like know about something, or like have a class about something, then we'll set a time and we'll do it. And then we'll go over whatever it is that that's going on, that they may want to know, or or whatever. But more than anything else, with regard to that, the student has to be consistent in that. Because in these traditions, I can tell you this, that it is the student who seeks out the teacher, not vice versa.
Absolutely. You always, from day one, you've said that. I know what you want to know. I have the knowledge. So you say, if you want it, you got to come to me. And I agree. I think, even back growing up as kids, if you wanted to learn something, you would do stuff around the house or whatever, and you would pick up things, or you would learn that way. But it was you that would
Right.
have to initiate it. So I
Absolutely.
100% get that. I think, and I think,
Absolutely. And let me just say this. One of the most profound things that I have ever heard in my life, and what really made me like just kind of like stop and like cock my head sideways, and I had to really listen, was both my padrino in Palo, and my mother, my in the voodoo, said the same thing to me. And both of them said to me, they said, I don't need you for anything, but you need me for everything. And I had to think long and hard about that. And then I realized what exactly it was that they meant. And what they meant is that if you want to know something, I am here, but I am not going to chase you down to teach you.
Right.
It's not my responsibility to teach you, but it is your responsibility to learn.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so and that was one of those things that I was just like, at first I was like, what? And then I was like, and I thought about it and thought about it, and I was like, oh, now I see what they get, what they're saying by that. But the thing is that, like, with that, you're looking at, applications of wisdom that come along with that. Because if I spent all of my time, you know, chasing, everybody down, I would never have time to do anything else. And so I won't do it. And that was the thing. That was the thing that, that I think that the wisdom underlying in that, in that comment or that message was that, things have to be balanced out. And the way that those things are balanced out is that if you want to learn something, then you come to me and I will teach you. But I'm not going to chase you down to teach you, because I have other things to do as well.
right.
You know what
And
I
I
mean?
will, and I will blow up your phone.
Exactly.
And I will blow your phone up. Papa no. Papa no. It'd be 11 o'clock at night. Be sleep. Hello.
But I mean, he is right. You have to put the effort into it. If you're not going to put the effort into it, why do it? You have to learn. I think, too, people need to understand a mentor is not a god or a goddess. People expect that when they go into mentorship, that person is supposed to always be available. You're supposed to be available. We're never supposed to have a disagreement. We're never supposed to argue. We're always supposed to be on the same page. And you have to realize this is a human relationship, you guys. This is really two people working together, sharing knowledge. So if you're putting somebody on a pedestal and you're afraid that you're mad at them because they're not jumping as fast as you want them to jump, or as high as you want them to jump, then you kind of have to step back and reevaluate your relationship, because it is a connection between two people that are growing together spiritually.
You're
So
you're absolutely right.
yeah,
But
people. Let me see. Willa wrote you a book, Papa. Let me see, Papa. People always say to me, "Use your voodoo to do this. Use your voodoo to do that." They will call me and ask me to my voodoo-ness. I have no idea why, but everyone assumes that I am a voodoo priest. This happens all the time. Would that be a sign? So I think Willow is saying that people are already coming to her as a mambo. She's not initiated mambo, but she says she wants to know if that's a sign because they keep calling her out as a priestess.
my suggestion when it comes to that is that, yeah, she very well may be a priestess, that's in there. But then again, that is also up to her to take and seek out further knowledge, for herself. The thing is that the word voodoo gets thrown around a whole lot, of this and that, and, the voodoo this and your voodoo that, and blah, 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 mainly because of, like, the media and movies and stuff like that. So people, have this association, you know, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how, twisted or wrong it might be with regard to it. But in that scenario, my suggestion would be to, begin to seek out not only further knowledge, but to seek out, like, what may potentially, be there, that has the ability to grow in and of itself.
Absolutely.
um,
Let me
but just to
see.
just to
Go
go
ahead,
back
Papa.
real quick just to go back real quick on the other uh thing, like with the mentor thing. The other thing that I wanted to say to that is that when it comes to the student or the God kid or whatever, the other important thing is understanding where these traditions come from, and understanding that if you want knowledge, you must take initiative. Because if you don't take initiative, what do? You're trampling on the blood of those that have died so that this could be here now and survive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also a very, very important thing when it comes to that knowledge, because if you think about what happened, back in the day, with these traditions and how they came about, initiative was something that was of the utmost importance, and it was something that needed to be taken. And if it wasn't taken, then guess what? You were going to die. I mean,
Absolutely.
honestly, that's how it was.
No,
So,
you're right. I think a lot of people don't understand that, but you're right. That's how it was. Let's see. Sharonda wants to know, how do you properly protect yourself other than staying grounded? What do you suggest as protection?
protect yourself in what way? Are we talking about general protection? Are we talking about like what?
I'm assuming spiritual protection.
Do you want to know the primary way to protect yourself? The primary way to protect yourself is to maintain a close and strong relationship with your own spirit. Are there works that can be done to protect yourself? Absolutely, there are. But the best form of protection is having a strong bond with your ancestors and a strong bond with, if you're in a tradition, with your spirits in that's in that tradition.
Okay. Okay, so Corey is correcting the question. So Corey is saying, I had ancestors who had lived and died before he was alive, that came through after ancestral work. He said that this has happened a lot since his mother's passing. So he kind of wants to know, do you have any insight to why it is happening? Why these ancestors are coming at him now?
Everything happens in a season and everything happens for a reason. More than likely, those ancestors are coming forward right now because there is a change, Corey, coming up in his life. And one of the things that's important to acknowledge with that is that everything that we have, like the gifts that we hold and who we are, that is all a part of an ancestral inheritance. It all comes from our ancestors. And more than likely, there are messages that those ancestors are trying to bring forth that are going to facilitate a needed change in the life of that individual, Corey.
I just felt the sting on the end of that name. Okay, so RK Gomes is saying, so Hoodoo Sen Moise, is it possible to have a godparent in another state, especially if you're in Hawaii? He lives in Hawaii.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. I know him. It absolutely is possible for that, because I can tell you this: I have godkids in a lot of states. So, like, just because that you have someone that's in a different place, doesn't necessarily mean that like that is a cutoff to being able to have that individual as a godparent. Now, would travel be necessary? Absolutely, it would at times. Sure. But I mean, that's just the way that it is. But it's absolutely possible to have that, and then just you grow from that, depending on what it is that you're doing, what's needed to be done, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so let's see. Bright Eyes Mesmerized. Danto has been appearing to her between 3 and 4 a.m. She wants to know, how can she start working with her?
How do you know that it's Danto? That's my first question, number one.
She said that
Number
she's
two,
appeared twice in a reading. So I'm assuming that somebody that she's had a reading
somebody
from.
has told her that. Okay, I will tell you this. When it comes to Maîtresse Exilidanto, if your head is not made, you have to have your head made before you can effectively work with her, because she has to know you. There are certain lois in the voodoo. There are certain lois in the voodoo that are not going to they're not going to do work with you until after your head is made, and you actually have, because Danto is one of the mothers of Haitian voodoo, and so with her there has to be a lineage attached. She may have come up and she may be around, but more than likely the reason why, if that is the case, and it is Danto herself, when it comes to, I heard this in a reading, I can tell you, like, quite frankly, with that, like, I always raise an eyebrow to that, because there are certain lois that you do not you don't roll up on them that way until your head's made.
I didn't know that. I did
Mhm,
not know that. So
mhm.
that's news to me.
Yep.
That's interesting. So
Mhm.
you say, like you
Right.
say, so she don't just roll up. She don't just come in and be like, okay, we fixing to kick it. You have to get your head made first before she makes that connection.
Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you another story. Someone else who I know, um, who did not have their head made, um, and they had a reading and a dream to where Met Kalfu had come in, and had come up in the reading and such, and so they decided that they wanted to start doing work with Met Kalfu, and
Mm.
so they did, against my advice, of course. I said, don't do it, don't do it, and but they did, and so guess what happened? You got a guess?
House
Can't guess
burned
yet?
down.
There you go. There you go. Ding,
The
you get the
house burned down?
$25. The house burned down. Yeah. Mhm. Yep. One of the candles that they had for Kalfu, one of the candles that they had for Kalfu, they lit the candle, and guess what? The candle blew up, caught the the cloth or whatever on fire, and burnt down the house.
Whoa.
This is why this is please, y'all, don't be looking at the internet for when it comes to voodoo advice, and now get an unga or a mambo, you know, and I realistically, because, like, you have all the stuff that's on the, and I'll tell you this, when it comes to the voodoo, about 85% of what's you find on the internet is bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I made a post about it.
So, like, there are certain lois, like, for somebody who doesn't have their head made, um, like, they could, honor and, perhaps do work with Dombala Wedo, because Dombala owns everybody's head, number one.
Okay.
There are certain Ogu that they could do, because everybody has an Ogu. Legba, everybody has a Legba, for example, and Agede, everybody has a Gede, like, so. But when it comes to some of the other Loa, no. Like, and that's just the way that it is, because, like, with Danto, for example, Danto's going to want to know what your lineage is, because if she don't know you, she don't know you.
Wow. That is really interesting, Papa. We're going to have a deeper talk on that.
I know.
Yeah, we are. But hey, I'm going to call you. We need to talk deeper on that.
Hmm.
Papa, how you doing? You want to answer a couple more questions? Are you tired or?
I can answer a couple more questions, and
Okay.
then I got, because then I got a couple of other things that I have to do, which I said I cannot disclose at the moment, but
Okay. All right. So let me see. Let me find one real quick. Oh, Yvette says she sees Detroit in your future.
Tell Yvette I see Detroit. Yvette, I see Detroit in my future too. I'm waiting to come see your ass. God.
Let me see. Sherman, you picking up any questions?
So far no.
Oh, Tesla's on here. Hey, Mumbo. I think Sierra too. I think all you pretty much. I know Renee was on here. I don't see Billy. Let me see. That may be it, Papa. You may have answered. Let me see. You may have answered everything.
Okay. Well then. Guess
I
I
know.
did.
Well, you know what? I loved it. You got to come
Oh,
back
you
and
know
do it.
what? Oh, you know, actually, you reminded me of something. Um, uh, uh, that Amanda had called me about, where we were going to do a series for people of classes. So you might want to mention that to them.
Yeah, Amanda, Three Crows Conjure, and Amanda and TJ are putting together a series where we're kind of talking a little bit about hoodoo and voodoo and some
The
classes with
differences.
Papa. So that's going to be coming up. They should be listing that, and I think I don't think it's this month. It may be in June. But you guys look for it because you'll be able to catch classes with Papa and with Amanda and with TJ and myself. We'll be putting some things out there. So it should be really interesting. And you'll be able to interact with him a lot more because I'm sure he has more classes coming in. Didn't you just do a class with Duchess, Papa?
I did.
Which one
I
was
did.
that? Because I missed it. Was it the
I
blood?
did. It was a class on blood work. Yep.
Ah. Did you save it, Papa, to sell?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So do I go through Duchess to get it, or do you have it?
You would go through her for it.
Okay. Because I wanted to see that class. I wasn't for sure if it was this month or if it was already passed. So you guys look out for him because he has some Zoom classes, some series that are going to be coming out. And maybe if y'all kind of get in his inbox, y'all can get him to, get his YouTube back up and maybe do some little discussions. I mean, I would love it. I would love it because that's where I got my first introduction of him when I was kind of stalking him. He had some YouTube videos up, and I don't think you still have them up, Papa, do you?
No, I don't. They're down. But I'm more of an in-person type of person anyway. Than like all this like online stuff is weird to me. But I can do it.
His other stalker got those videos up of him still.
The who?
His other stalker.
Oh, Lord, don't let me get you started. Oh, God. We're going to let you be. So you guys look out for him. And I know we can't travel and do things right now, but as soon as you can, if you get a chance, go to New Orleans. Conjure New Orleans has moved to Bourbon Street, you guys. In the Fruit Loop. What is it, Papa? Is it Fruit Loops? What is it?
The area of Bourbon is called the Fruit Loop, but it's 907 Bourbon Street.
Okay, you guys. So definitely hit him up. I know Mama Star kept saying Fruit Loops, and I wasn't sure, but I knew it had something to do with that. Hit him up on his website. He has amazing soaps. He has amazing candles. Hit Conjure New Orleans up. They still are online. Things are still being shipped out. If you need a reading with him, get a reading. He is phenomenal. It is worth the money. It really is. Hit him up on his websites. Hit him up in his inbox. Stay on top of him. We got to keep him moving. We got to put some money in his pocket. And if you guys want to give out a love donation or whatever, his Cash App and everything is up. So, Papa, I appreciate you so much. I love you. I miss you.
I miss you and love you too. Yeah, I need to see your ass, huh?
I know, Papa. You know what? I was thinking about sneaking, and I was thinking about sneaking there, but I was like, shit, man. I got, I
You
can't
came
take
here
it.
now. You can't get back.
Probably so they locked me down. Where's Pickles at, Papa?
Huh?
Where's
He's
Pickles?
he's in the house. I'm in the courtyard right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Sherman, you want to spend some time with your Papa before we let him go?
Oh, I'll see him once outside open up.
Lord.
I'll blow up his phone in a minute. So.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much, Papa. I appreciate your time. Please come back anytime you want to come and talk. This is family. This is why we do this, to kind of help promote family and put everybody out there. So anytime you feel like you got something that you want to share, you got classes that you want to teach, you more than welcome to come on here and do what you need to do. We already got the technology set up.
Oh yeah, well that's a good thing. Yeah.
All right, you guys. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing and the questions. And we appreciate you. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Next week we have Tata Kempu.
Yeah, we're having Tata Kampu next Saturday.
Oh Lord.
It'd be
Mhm.
interesting.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yep.
Yes, it will be. All right, Papa. Be good. Talk to you
All right.
soon.
All right, talk to y'all soon. Love y'all.
I love you
Love
too.
you too. Bye, Sherwin.
Bye. Mwah.